This video is about simple moving average. This is a short-term forecasting technique, and the simple moving average, as the name says, is an average that is changing according to how the data points are changing in our formula. Let's take a look at the formula, then I can explain to you in more details using Excel. So this ft is the forecast for a time t. This time, let's say, is month. So what's the forecast for today or this month? Let's say what's the forecast for this month. The forecast for this month is going to be equal to the sales from this month minus 1, which is the previous month, plus the sales from 2 months before, plus the sales from 3 months before, and so on until how many months we want. And then we divide that by the number of months. This is what the formula is saying, and I'm going to show you in Excel in a minute. Okay. This forecast, this moving average, is based on fixed number of past periods, and is useful when the demand is not growing or declining rapidly, and there is no seasonality in the forecast, like in the demand. Helps to remove some of the random fluctuation from the data. And selecting the periods of time that we're going to include in the model helps to smooth the forecast, or makes it more like, let's say, react more rapidly, more quickly to change in demand. Okay. So let's take a look at one example. Let's use this file, diving example XLS, and this is an Excel file. This is the data that we have in that file. And let's use the data that we have to predict the demand for October. So let's call that simple moving average, and let's do that using one period of time. Okay, for one period of time, what we are saying is that we are using data from only one period of time to compute the average. Okay, so let's do that. Let me show you. Let's assume we want to predict the demand for February. So this is going to be equal to the average of how many points we have, how many periods of time we have. We have only one, so we have only 1 month to select, and this is the forecast for February. These numbers are formatted as a table, so when I type this here the first time, all other cells, they computed the values. I'm gonna include a new column here which won't make that happen, so you can see the simple moving average happening for each month. But again, going back to this idea, if I go to October, the October demand, the forecast demand, will be equal to the past month average, which is only September. Okay, so now let's do that simple moving average for 3 periods of time. For 3 periods of time, this means that I need 3 months, 3 data points to be able to forecast the next month. So if we're in April and we want to predict how much our demand will be in April, what we do is we do equal average, and then we select the data points of January, February, and March. And close parentheses, hit OK. And again, this table is formatted as a table. Then this is what it does. But let me do it again here. Let me delete all this and let me do it again so you can see. So for May, the forecast demand is going to be equal to the average of the past 3 months demand. So it's going to be equal to the average of February, March, and April. So I select these 3 data points, and then I close parentheses, and this is the forecast demand for May. What is the forecast demand for June? The forecast demand for June is equal to the average of the past 3 months. So the past 3 months here are May, April, and March. This is the simple moving average. You see that as we move to the next month, we only select the previous 3 months that we have in the data. So equal average for July the forecast demand will be equal to the past demand for June, May, and April. Okay, so you keep doing this, and then you can simply copy the formula. And if you want to remove these errors, you simply select everything, go to error, ignore error, and it's easy to see now. Okay, so the forecast demand for October, if I click here on the formula, I see that the forecast demand for October is the average of the demand of July, August, and September. Let's do one more simple moving average using 6 periods of time. Now that I'm using 6 periods of time, this means that I'm going to use January, February, March, April, May, and June demand. So I can predict July because that's the first time I have 6 data points. So to predict July, I take the average of this previous month, 6 months, and that's how much the forecast is. The same thing for August is going to be the average now, including the demand of July until February. So I'm not including January anymore because I'm moving ahead in time. And then I can do the same thing. And for example, in October, you see that we include data from April to September because we're moving the data points that we're using. Okay, so this is how you compute using Excel. We can go back to our slides and talk a little bit more, one more slide. Okay, so how many periods of time should we select? Well, it depends. More periods of time, makes the forecast demand more smooth, but is less sensitive to changes, so it makes it less sensitive to if demand changes too much. Less periods of time can capture these changes in demand, so it's more responsive to changes in demand, but it's less stable. So we have this trade-off between stability and responsiveness, and this really depends on how the demand is. If the demand is more stable, it doesn't change too much, then you can use more periods of time. If the demand changes a lot from month to month, or from a period of time, let's say from one day to another, or from 1 week to another, then you should use less periods of time. And the commonly used amounts, the periods of time are very